Today we're talking about sixths, what they are, how to play them, and how you can use them to improvise all over the neck of the banjo. Okay, real quick, before we get started, do me a huge favor and subscribe to this channel and like this video. That makes a huge difference. If a lot of people do that, it makes it a lot easier for me to spend a lot of time making these videos. And if you want the tablature from this lesson or any of my other lessons, then go to patreon.com/EliGilbertBanjo. That's where I post tablature and bonus practice tips, live streams, all kinds of stuff that you can't get here on YouTube. There are a few different ways that we can think about sixths. We can use music theory to understand what they are, but we can also use some common chord shapes that you probably already know to figure out how to play and use these shapes to improvise. And if music theory isn't your strong suit, then that's okay, stick around. That doesn't necessarily prevent you from using this sound. Okay, so the sixth is a name for the interval between two notes that are 6 scale degrees apart. And scale degrees are just each note in the scale. As an example, if we start on the note G in the key of G, and we count G, A, B, C, D, E, then we'll know that G and E are a sixth apart. If we were to start from A in the key of G and count A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, then we'll know that A and F sharp are a sixth apart. You can do this to find sixths starting from any note, but in terms of actually using this and applying it to the banjo, there's an easier way to visualize this information. First, think about this common G chord shape. It's got G, B, D, and G. If you think about just the third string and the first string, B and G, as it turns out, you have a sixth. And because this shape contains 2 of the notes in the G chord, it's going to sound like the G chord, but it highlights the unique sound of the sixth interval. And if we look at all the chords in G major across the neck, then we'll be able to find the corresponding sixth shape across the neck as well. So the chords in G major are G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, F sharp diminished, and then we're back at G. And if we isolate the third string and the first string in all of these shapes, then we end up with this scale played in sixths. And the reason I think about it this way is because when I play these sixth shapes, it can be really helpful to be able to visualize the surrounding chord so you know where to play them. But it does get just a little bit more complicated because each of these shapes actually implies more than one chord. For instance, in the first shape that we looked at, which has B and G, we're playing 2 of the notes in a G chord, so it sounds like a G chord. But actually B and G are also 2 of the notes in an E minor chord, so in a certain context, this shape would sound like E minor. And that's great because it gives us a lot of flexibility, but it does complicate things a little bit. So we need some sort of concrete way to visualize all this. And the way I visualize that is by thinking about all the chords in G major using this alternate set of chord shapes. Notice that each of our sixth shapes is in exactly the same place, but this time as a part of a different chord. That means when I look at each shape, I'm thinking about these 2 different chords. Now, when it comes to improvising and playing melodies using these shapes, one of the most common things you'll see people do is incorporating the 5th string and playing roll patterns while moving up and down the scale. Here are a couple examples. Once you're comfortable with this, you can try applying this to a song, and a good place to start is to try to target each chord at the beginning of each measure, but spend the rest of the time traveling up and down the scale. Here's an example on a 1-4-5-1 progression in G, using just one roll pattern. And as you get more comfortable with this, you could start mixing roll patterns to get more interesting melodies and rhythms. Your success with this sound depends on two things: your willingness to memorize these shapes and roll patterns, and your willingness to explore the neck and try to apply these to chord progressions. At first, this might be slow and difficult, like anything else in music, but if you spend the time, then this is going to open up the fretboard in a really big way. And at first, it's not a bad idea to actually compose some ideas or melodies on a chord progression. It doesn't need to be anything special, just try to target the appropriate chord with the appropriate shape, and then see where you can go from there. And if you stuck around this long, then you're probably wondering how you could win some free banjo strings. And it's easy. Assuming you're already subscribed to this channel and you've already liked this video, all you have to do is comment below with a song that you think this sound would work well on. And congratulations to Bradley, who was the winner of last week's string giveaway. So if you want to be a winner like Bradley, then make sure you're subscribed, you like this video, and you comment below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.